Hi, today we will be using zinc case. And this equation is used to combine with copper to make gold.
Okay, so first you need your goggles, and then an apron, and don't forget your gloves. Then you need to collect a few pennies pre-1980. If you don't get them pre-1980, then this experiment won't work as well. Other things you need are your tongs to pick up the pennies in your solutions, a stir stick, and then also sodium chloride or common table salt. In this case, we have ice cream salt. You need DI water, and you'll put it in a beaker, along with vinegar, which you'll also put in a beaker. Then you'll need a hot plate, NaOH, and zinc. And then lastly, you need a scale to weigh each stage of your penny.
So did you think the copper would turn to gold?
No, because the copper has less protons than the gold, and it would take a lot of energy to make those, or to give those protons to the copper to make it into gold. And this reaction doesn't provide that energy.
I don't think we would make copper into gold either because you would need a lot more mass in the penny to make it.
Okay, so after you get your pre-1980 pennies, you can go ahead and stick it in your vinegar sodium chloride solution. And we stir it just to try to get it as clean as possible. Okay, once you take it out, you want to go ahead and scrub it with some steel wool, just to get all those extra dirt chunks or whatever's on it off so it gets really shiny. After you're done doing that and your penny's all clean, you go ahead and you can mass it. And then after you mass it, you want to make sure that you record your results because we'll mass it at each stage of the process, so from copper, silver, and gold.
We are going to weigh.
After it's clean and massed, we'll go ahead and put it in the NaOH solution.
Now we are going to weigh
with
the gold penny
zinc.
to see if we actually made gold. And if it weighs more than 4, then
It usually takes a few minutes to turn the copper from silver, or from copper to silver. But once it's ready, you want to be careful not to spill any of the solution on anything because it could burn through your gloves or through the paper towels and or catch on fire. And so you want to hurry and stick it in some DI water to neutralize that dangerous solution. After it's all dried, you want to go ahead and mass it again and then record your results. Okay, make sure that you get your lobster claws and take off the solution off the hot plate. And again, careful not to spill it or anything or get it on you because it is dangerous. After you get it off your hot plate, then you can go ahead and, using your tongs, stick the penny onto the hot plate. What the heat does actually will turn the penny into a copper or a gold color, and it'll take just a few seconds, and you can occasionally flip it if you want.
Like the gold penny was the same as the copper penny, which is 2.8. So we in fact did not make.
What? What do you mean I'm not rich?
And then again, you can make sure that your DI water is kind of close by because you'll want to stick your penny in it after it's all, the color is changed, and that way you can cool your penny, and then the penny will be totally gold.
Just pretend that was that whole penny, because we didn't measure that whole penny. So just pretend.
Okay. Once it's cooled, you can go ahead and take it out, and you'll see that you have a gold penny. And again, after you have changed the color or turned it into gold, you want to mass it for your last time to record your results. And there's your gold penny and the lab for it.
So, what were some of the observations in the lab?
Well, from the copper to the silver stage, the penny actually it turned slowly into the silver, not like right away. But I think part of that depended on the heat of the zincate mixture. Also, we found that out later that if you take the silver penny, you can actually rub some of this silver color off. We also saw that from silver to gold, the penny actually would turn bronze first, and then when we put it into the DI water to cool it, it actually turned that solid gold shiny color. However, our biggest observation between these three was that the mass was fairly constant. It didn't vary too much. And so most likely, this copper did not turn into the gold.
On our first graph here, you can see the actual density of gold to copper. You can see that gold is 19.3 grams per milliliter, and copper is 8.92 grams per milliliter. As you can see from here, gold is much more dense than copper. In this graph here, we see the actual density of copper to silver. Silver is 10.5 grams per milliliter, and copper is 8.92 grams per milliliter. From there, you can see that silver is much more dense than the copper. This graph right here is the density of gold penny to the actual copper penny. This is our actual results from the lab. It shows that the density of gold is 78 and the density of copper is 77. They're actually pretty equal, but in the others, it shows that the density is more off. This graph right here compiles all the results. It shows all the mass of the tokens in grams. You can see that in all the graphs that the mass was definitely heavier when you put the zinc on them. The zinc is the silver. You can see that the copper and gold are very similar, and that is because you can compile that it's just a coating going on the tokens.
So yeah, from our information, was our hypothesis correct?
Yes, I believe our hypothesis was correct because we believe that we would not turn copper into gold, and that's what happened.
As you guys said earlier, I believe that our hypothesis was correct. We didn't have enough energy to change this copper into gold because there wasn't enough energy. And with our simple reaction, we weren't able just to create that energy output.
Yeah, and we saw that only the color changed, and not the density.
Why do you think that the density didn't change?
Oh, well, I think it was just because the penny and the zincate just made an alloy, and so it wasn't really actually gold, and so the color of this gold penny will actually eventually wear off.
Oh man.
So, what do you think we could have done better?
What I think we could have done better was probably be a little more clean and not spill anything.
Yeah, like that height, the base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think this lab went pretty well. So we proved that this reaction can turn pennies into gold.